Good morning, fifth grade. Sorry. So today is our last science video, and it's our final recap of chapter 11. So remember, you're gonna have your chapter 11 test. I think it's next week. Yes. So today is attached the study guide. So please start studying it so that you do well on the test. And tomorrow is when you're going to, I'm sorry, not tomorrow, science. Wednesday is when you're going to start the chapter 11 quizzes to help you study for the chapter 11 test. All right, so we've been talking about the respiratory system. If you have forgotten what we talked about, then please look at the video again from Wednesday because you had your test on chapter 12. Chapter 12 yesterday. And just, review. Review. Study, study, study. That's what I can say. So we're going to start with our next review of the respiratory sounds. So we learned about the respiratory system, what they all did, that lungs don't have muscles, that your chest has muscles, your diaphragm has muscles, that's what causes you to breathe. We talked about how the air passes through you, okay? So we talked about all that on the last video as a reminder about how your respiratory system works. So now we are going to move on to respiratory sounds. Are you ready? Okay. I have my notes. Okay. So, respiratory sounds. So, the most common respiratory sounds that you're going to hear are coughing and sneezing. So, remember we talked about how when you breathe in the air, the particles of dust and germs and things in the air get caught in the cilia and the mucus that's in your nose and your throat. And when there's a lot of it, God created the body to get rid of it, and so you get rid of it in a sneeze and a cough. So that is like a very quick exfoliant of the stuff that's stuck in there. Okay, because remember, God is protecting our lungs from those things. So there's a lot of mucus and cilia that's in our nose and in our throat to help with that, to help capture it. So the way you expel it is to cough or sneeze. All right. So the um, the linings. Oh, look, nose. The linings of, because I'm talking about my nose. Sorry, the nose and the throat become agitated with all that dust sitting there, and that's what causes the sneeze and the cough. And we've all sneezed and we've all coughed. So we're going to move into hiccups. Okay, hiccups. So hiccups are also very common. Hang on, I'm sorry. I talked about my nose too much. Hiccups are also a very common sound that you hear from the respiratory system. Hiccups are completely involuntary. Yes, they tell you a lot of things to do when you get hiccups to try to get rid of them. Sometimes I think I've done, everything out there, but the hiccups, they go away when they go away, and they don't when they don't. And sometimes hiccups are so severe and last for so long that some people have to actually go to the doctor to help them get rid of the hiccups. So what happens with a hiccup is that your diaphragm tenses up. And as your diaphragm tenses up, um, it like spasms, okay? And so that movement of the diaphragm spasming interrupts your normal breathing patterns, and so it creates a very quick, like gaspy sort of thing going on. And because of that, you like are quick gulping, and that is a hiccup. I know if I eat too fast, I get hiccups. Okay, so that's something that I know. So if I start eating and then sometimes I don't even realize I'm eating fast. If I start eating and then I start getting hiccups, I actually stop eating and take really slow, deep breaths, and then my hiccups usually go away. Oh, I'm sorry. There must not be enough oxygen in here. Oh. Because I'm not feeling tired at all, but yet I'm yawning. Okay, so in the private comments, secret, put down when Mrs. Johnson gets hiccups. When does Mrs. Johnson get hiccups? Yeah, when she eats too fast. Write that down. All right. There's going to be like 2 private comment things today, okay? Because now people are figuring out it's at the end of the video. So I want to make sure that you're actually watching the whole video. So I'm going to put it like in different parts of the video now. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So, the epiglottis closes suddenly as the diaphragm contracts. And that's what makes the noise that you hear, okay, of a hiccup. So when it closes suddenly as the diaphragm contracts, it causes the noise that you hear, the hiccup, hiccup, like that, yeah? Again, the reason for it is unknown, so that's why it's hard to control or to fix when it happens. All right. Okay. Snoring. Snoring is another respiratory sound, which usually comes when people are sleeping. So you may not even be aware if you snore or not, unless your mom or dad have told you, hey, what are you doing snoring? Okay. So some of the common causes of snoring, well, let's start with why you snore. So snoring is the air is being restricted in the back of your mouth or nose, and parts of your mouth or throat are vibrating together. And remember, we talked about that. When you have vibration, you have sound. So they're vibrating together, which makes the sound. All right. And causes of snoring can be allergies, a cold, a crooked cartilage. So between your 2 nostrils, you have 2 nostrils, yeah. And inside in between, you have a cartilage. And if it's like crooked, it can cause snoring. Okay. Let's see. Being overweight, sleeping on your back, or if you just have swollen tonsils for some reason. All right. I'll be right back. I have to go grab something. Hi, I'm back. Okay. So there are, those are just sounds that come from the respiratory system, but the respiratory system can actually end up having issues and problems. So that's the next thing that we're going to look at. We're going to look at diseases that you may have in your respiratory system and how that can affect how your respiratory system functions. So one of the main diseases that I'm sure you guys have all had is called a cold. Colds are actually in the COVID strain. COVID is colds. And so, like, we have that COVID-19 thing right now. So it's the 19th strain of a COVID virus. So that's how they do it. My daughter, she's the nurse. She tells me these things. So when you have a cold, what happens is you have a swollen nose and throat cells. So inside your nose, again, we're going to talk about the nose, which will make my nose itchy, but I'm sorry. So inside your nose, you have cells. Yes, everything is made up of cells. Remember, we've talked about this. And so inside your nose, you have cells. And the cells swell up and cause excess mucus. It can also affect your sinuses, your ears, and your bronchi. Okay. Influenza has the same symptoms as a cold, but it also has body aches, muscle aches. Okay. It causes the same reactions in your body. Sore throats are caused by dust or smoke in the air, which makes the throat produce extra mucus. All right. And because your throat is coated with mucus, which we talked about, and the cilia, to help filter out impurities in the air as well as diseases. And so what happens is it gets irritated and then it swells and produces extra mucus. Okay. A sore throat can also be caused by a cough. The constant coughing dries out your throat to mucus. Yeah. Because the air keeps passing over it, like drying clothes or, drying your hair. Same kind of thing. The air passes over it, dries it out, and that can cause a sore throat. So just like air, coughing, something else that can dry it out and cause a sore throat is too much talking. Okay, that can also cause a sore throat because of the drawing of the air. All right. Sometimes you could get a disease that hurts your throat, which is called strep. It usually also has a fever, and you can treat it with antibiotics. Okay. Another infection you can get in your respiratory system is called bronchitis. My mom got bronchitis a lot, and the doctor thinks she got it from me, even though I've never had bronchitis a day in my life, but that's what he thought. So bronchitis is when you have infected bronchi, and the germ irritates the bronchi lining, causing the cilia to not be able to move. It's kind of like this really bad cycle. So once the cilia can't move, it can't get rid of the particles, and then it causes inflammation because it can't get rid of the particles, which then causes more mucus, which causes the cilia not to move. And so what people with bronchitis usually have to do is go to the doctor and get medicine, antibiotics, which makes all that swelling go down so everything can move again. Okay? All right. Then you have pneumonia. Pneumonia is a lung infection that it's a virus or bacteria that and it causes an infection in your lungs. And that's not the pneumonia part, but the infection in your lungs creates a problem where things can't move, which causes your lungs to fill up with fluid. So oxygen cannot reach all the areas of your lungs. So people with pneumonia have a hard time breathing. And so they give you antibiotics to fix that. So in the olden days, before antibiotics, pneumonia was very dangerous, and people would die from it. People still die today, in the nowadays, of pneumonia too, but it wasn't like everybody died, basically. If you got pneumonia, people cried because basically, if you were probably going to die. Nowadays, it's like you take it seriously, you go to the hospital, you get medicine, but most people survive pneumonia. All right, allergies. Dust and pollen in the air. Hang on, I turned it the wrong way. Okay, dust and pollen in the air cause sneezing and itchy eyes, breathing problems seasonally. Okay, so you have seasonal allergies. It causes coughing, sneezing, itchy eyes, and breathing problems. Asthma. Asthma is when your bronchial tubes narrow because the muscle around it tightens. And so then you have trouble breathing. So most people have an inhaler that they, breathe in. Asthma varies from person to person. It can be really severe or it can be really light. So like mine is super light, super duper. Like I don't use an inhaler for years, and then I'll need one. And then other people have nebulizers and stuff because they have really severe asthma. So severe. So allergies can cause an asthma attack. Air pollution can cause an asthma attack. All right. Smoking. Let's look at smoking. Smoking is very bad for you. Smoking allows poisonous chemicals to harm the lungs that you have. The cilia is unable to trap these particles because they're too small, so they just kind of go in your lungs and hang out there. They never get expelled. It's pretty bad. Okay, it forms a sticky tar on the cilia and in your lungs, and it causes clumping cilia. So it would be like if you took your brush and you put a little bit of glue on it somewhere, and then you try to brush your hair. Or you put glue on, little dots of glue on it other places, and you try to brush your hair. Wouldn't be very effective, would it? Some of your hair would get brushed, some of it wouldn't, but that's the same kind of idea as what's going on here. Okay, so the cilia has a hard time getting rid of debris in your lungs. It kind of all stays there, and that is what they believe causes cancer, that irritant in there. Okay. Emphysema is caused by smoking. My grandmother had emphysema, so that is another thing you are to write in the private comments. Mrs. Jones's grandmother had emphysema. Okay, yeah. So emphysema comes when the alveoli, there we go, stay working properly. I'm sorry, stays working properly, interfering with. Okay. So it can't work properly because they become damaged from the smoking, and that interferes with the ability of your lungs, because that's where it transfers the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, right? So it interferes with that. So people with emphysema have a hard time breathing, are often on oxygen. My grandmother was on oxygen. And they're tired. My grandmother was tired a lot. Okay. And it's just not very good for you at all. It really isn't. So God created our bodies. He created us, and we are supposed to be taking care of our bodies and doing all that we can to bring glory to God. The Bible tells us that our bodies are a temple of the Lord, and that we are to care for them well. Okay, so that is everything I have for today. Please remember your 2 secret things you need to write down. And I will see you later.